Amazing Grace, you can start now.
Okay. Hi guys, my name is Olutumilayo Amazing Grace, but you guys can call me AG. And we are here with Ken Jee, the head data scientist at Scout Consulting Group, and is well known on YouTube for his great videos on data science generally, and basically your career, data science as a career, which is the theme for this webinar. And you can, by the way, the first rule should be, I hope you guys subscribe to his channel. Everyone must subscribe to his channel because it is a wonderful place to be. I think last time I subscribed, it was at 50K, so now it's at 83K and counting. You will enjoy every single video on that channel, and I'm not trying to exaggerate anything here. So I think all of us should go and join and subscribe and enjoy his videos. So today we'll be talking about data science as a career, and we really appreciate you, Ken, for accepting this request to do this, and we appreciate the your service. So surprisingly, we have about 300 applicants for this webinar, which is quite surprising and good turn up. So if you are just joining in, please put your name and where you are from, because we realize that it's not only Nigerians that applied to be registered to be in this webinar today. And yes, those I know, please subscribe. Go to his channel and subscribe. Name is Ken Jee. No extra this thing. So I think I'll be introducing Dr. Bayo Adekombi. I don't know if he's on right now. So Dr. Bayo Adekombi is the founder and is the lead mentor. He started Data Science Nigeria. Basically, he started all of this, like brought data science, he brought the whole he started the fellowship in Nigeria where all of us like go interested, and most of us like go to where we are. And we really appreciate Dr. Dr. Bayo. And if you don't know who he is, you should follow him on Twitter at Bayo Adekombi. And you can check his LinkedIn too. I can't start saying all these achievements here because apparently he has done a lot of things in the world of data science too. And you should also follow Ken Jee on Twitter at KenJDS. I will be posting his Twitter link and his YouTube link here. So the attendees, if you are just joining in, thank you very much. If you are just joining in, put where you are from, and also go to YouTube, search for Ken Jee and subscribe to his channel, and follow him on Twitter too. Dr. Bios will be joining us soon, as it will be opening the webinar. And I hope you guys are wearing your masks. to like because of the like corona period. I hope you guys are staying safe and enjoying and making good use of the lockdown and learning things. At least I know I've learned a few things this lockdown. And if you want to learn more, go to Ken Jee's. I'll continue to say it. Go to Ken Jee's channel. Like, I can't exaggerate this enough. You will enjoy it. I'm not exaggerating. Point is, okay, remember I just put a story of how I kind of met Ken Jee's channel. So I was looking for how to scrape data from Twitter. And I was like, okay, went to Google and then directed me to his channel. And then I just like, okay, thank you very much. I enjoyed this explanation. And then while I was going back, I was going out to the channel, I saw these videos like, wow, going from scratch on how to work on a data set. He interviewed some people, like not just ordinary people, like not people from Uber, Nvidia. I can't mention all of them. Unfortunately, I've not watched the videos. I'm sorry, Ken, but I'll watch all of them. So I actually enjoyed every single video. You should watch the particular series you should watch is starting working on your data set. We should watch his interviews with other machine learning engineers and data scientists. So you could learn one or two things. Oh, I think my voice is okay. I'll try to fix that now. I'm sorry about that. Okay. Are we good?
Ken Jee is there.
Okay, am I clear?
Yeah, I think it's better now.
Okay. I think it was clear. So we have 53 people on. If you are just joining, follow Ken Jee on Twitter. I'll be posting his Twitter.
We have people from all over Nigeria and even outside Nigeria. I think on the chat section I'm seeing so welcome Musiliu Kawam Aremu from Ibadan. Thanks for joining in. Itunu from Ogun State. Thanks for joining in. We await the convener Data Science Nigeria, the person of Dr. Bayo. Will be joining us very, very soon. But in the meantime, drop your name and where you're joining us from. So at least we get to meet ourselves and all.
Okay, we are at 53. It's very nice to have you guys here. Like it's quite. So I want you guys to note that there will be a Q&A where you have you can ask your questions, and we'll try our best to direct them to Ken and answer them. So prepare your questions down and get ready to like get this is like the perfect time to get your answers from a seasoned data scientist and a prominent YouTuber. So you guys should prepare your questions down too. And if you're a beginner, you know nothing about you've basically done you don't have any experience with data science, this is also for you. You are a pro intermediate, this is also for you. And also don't be shy to ask questions. The webinar was meant to like go live to people like directly, and where you can have easy access to Ken, and and you'll be able to try and answer all these questions, and you'll be able to like he will also be giving his own session, I think for about 30 minutes, where he will be talking about some other like the theme data science as a career. And I don't think there's a better person for you to deliver this theme. So, like I said, if you are joining us, oh, okay, we are at 60 now, 66. If you are joining us, please follow Ken on Twitter.
Then you can also follow AI plus OAU on Twitter. So this event was brought to you by Data Science and AI plus OAU. So follow, go to Twitter, follow us.
I think there's a
Tweet how excited you are, and use the hashtag Talk with Ken Jee. Use the hashtag Talk with Ken Jee, and let's trend.
Ken, would you like to say anything before we go on? Maybe like just a few words.
For sure. Well, thank you guys so much for having me. I think it's incredible what you're all doing, creating such a good community around data science in general. Can someone actually? It looks like in the panelists there's a second Grace who doesn't have a picture or anything, and there's a lot of audio interference from that. Can we mute that channel or mute that person? There we go. It's the DSM one. That one's just been having a lot of audio interference. But regardless, I think that this is such. Hopefully, this will be a really valuable conversation. I think that there are so many opportunities around data science that people don't realize yet, and there's a lot of control that you can have over your own opportunities. So in my kind of presentation that I'm going to be having here in a second, I'll walk through some of the ways that I view data science perhaps differently than most people, than the traditional data scientist, and hopefully how that can benefit you in either landing a job, creating opportunities, or bringing opportunities to yourself. So I'm looking forward to being able to share that with you. And again, I can't commend you guys enough on how great it is that you can create a community, that you can get 50, 60, 100 people to come together and learn this field that I'm so passionate about. So I'm very excited again to share with you all the things that I've learned in hopes that it can help you all push your career forward and have it come into reality, a lot of the things that you're just starting to get involved with now.
Okay, so thank you, Ken.
So I think in the absence of
Paul will be going on with his own session where we just see a few things about data science in Nigeria and our community, and some other things on his slide. Dr. Bayo will join us soon, and maybe when he joins us, we'll just say a few words because and then we'll go on from there. So I think Paul, I think your slide should be ready by now.
Okay, so I think I'm all ready. So once again, I really want to thank everyone for attending. It's really a big thing for us, gathering everyone and gathering contents like this. So I really want to say thank you and welcome once again, irrespective of where everyone is coming from. So quick story, how we were able to even come up with this was just, will I say, I wouldn't say luck. It was mainly Amazing Grace. So just one random day, Amazing Grace replied Ken Jee on his YouTube to one of his videos. Then luckily for us, Ken Jee replied Amazing Grace. Then immediately Ken Jee replied Amazing Grace. He ran to the group and he was so happy and announced, Ken Jee replied his messages, and I think we can go ahead to ask for more. So I think that was where we gathered the idea of bringing a very of putting something together, something this big, and we really want to thank Ken Jee for his support so far. So before we start, awaiting the convener Data Science Nigeria, I'll be sharing with you a little bit about the community. So I'll be sharing with you a little bit about data science in Nigeria. So I think you guys should know, you should know a little about us. Because I don't know if everyone, we have a lot of people from within and outside Nigeria. Okay, so get to know more about data science Nigeria. So data science Nigeria, we are a community of a very large community of AI enthusiasts, of data scientists, and of AI researchers. Okay, so we have this common goal. This goal we are so much driving at, of building a community of 1 million AI talents in 10 years. Okay, so this sounds very massive, but then it's, I think we are so much into it, and we are actually making headway. Okay, so I'll tell you guys why. I'm going to be showing you guys why. So funny enough, this same day last year was um, there was we won this award of number one artificial intelligence learning community and solution delivery network across Nigeria. This was a very massive one for us. This was a very massive one for us because we've been putting up content online, offline, face to face. So across Africa, it's like we are number one, and it was a very massive one for us. And funny enough, it was this same day last year. So that was just sheer coincidence. And a reason why we were able to do that, I'm going to be sharing with us. So it's not like the community is just, it's not like we're just so we have over 1 million, we have over 1 million artificial intelligence startup free. Our artificial intelligence startup free ebook has been downloaded over a million times. Over a million times on YouTube. We have um, over 95,000 views from our classes that ran between March to May. We've had over 3,000 hours of face-to-face classes in data science and machine learning application across different schools and states in Nigeria. Um, we have this publicly available content, this AI box. I'm going to be sharing briefly what the AI box is, where there's so much content about data science and artificial intelligence. We have over 22,000 online participants in data science courses from registration to at least one class. So this is like um, towards achieving our goal of 1 million AI talents in 10 years. This is just a lot, and I think we still have a lot to go. We still have a long way to go, and we are really doing a lot to achieve that. Okay, so this is the AI box. So this is a terabyte. This is a terabyte hard drive that contains. This is a terabyte hard drive that contains different materials, tutorials, and the likes. So ranging from videos to PDFs to courses, and so this has really helped us. It has really helped us as a community because once you need content, your content is not far-fetched. You either meet up with a community member and you can download whatever you want. So we have, like I said earlier, we are running the biggest free AI learning platform on the continent across campuses and cities. So if you can see my screen, there are pictures of so many of our events. So I think this is some of our events that are held. Can you guys see my screen? I think I need confirmation in the chat section.
Yeah, we can see your screen. We can see your screen.
Okay. So so if you can see, we have so many branches or subsidiaries across Nigeria. If you can see my screen on the map, we have close to 17 universities. We are in over 17 universities across Nigeria, and we're in 23 cities. So part of the university is OAU, is where we come in. So we are part of it. 17 universities Data Science Nigeria has established in different campuses. And I think we are doing very well for ourselves, and Data Science Nigeria has been really helping us. So next we have the AI Bootcamp 2019. These are pictures from our Bootcamp 2019, where we had over 250 people gathered across Nigeria, all of us converging just for the sake of data science. This was a very, very massive event. There was a pre-Kaggle competition that I had to hold, which was a very tough one. And so like this was a very, we had over 20 speakers traveling down to Nigeria from different parts of the world. And it was a very glorious event. Okay, so next, we recently we won the award of the best academic poster at the 21st ACM conference on economics on economics. So this was just recently, where on some of our including our convener and some others, winning this massive award. And this was not just for Africa, this was worldwide. This was like the world's premier conference on the interface of economics and computer science. So this was a very massive one for us also. Okay, so um currently we have this beginner artificial intelligence and Python programming for primary and junior secondary school. So this book, I know there's been a lot of publicity about this our book. So this book can be gotten on Amazon, can be gotten on Play Store. Just think of anywhere you can get this. And there've been lots of testimonies coming from users. So instead of for someone like me, for someone like some of us that we started our data science journey just when we were in say university or when we were in high school. So this is just giving the younger generation that intuition and that knowledge of AI already, so we can all build a massive community. So if you can see, there's this dialogue pattern of communication where there's a lot of illustration, and before every chapter um there are laid down objectives to be achieved. And so this is a very massive one. And author of this book is our convener, Dr. Olubayo Adekombi. He has done a lot of work in putting this together for our younger generation. So next, I'll be speaking briefly on AI plus OAU. This is a branch of Data Science Nigeria here on OAU campus. Okay, so AI plus OAU, a subsidiary of Data Science Nigeria on OAU campus. We are community based. We are community based in Ile-Ife. So we are a community based in Ile-Ife. So in case we have people from Ile-Ife or Osun State currently joining us, you can message you can reach out to us to add you to our groups and to join our community. So we've been doing very well for ourselves and our leaders. Meet our leaders. This is on the left is Paul Ukeumi, which is myself, and on the right is Grace Omojola. So I think we are the ones currently leading the community. So far, the club has been able to train over 100 data scientists in Ile-Ife. So this is a very massive one for us. A very small community like AI Plus, we've been able to do a lot for ourselves. Some of our members have gotten placements in KPMG, Terragon, and other big companies. So and I think this is like the joy of a community, seeing your members in excelling. So next we have, I think these are some of images of some of our classes. On the right you have our Speak AI event. This Speak AI is an event just like this one, where we have guys from the industry coming to where we have guys from the industry coming to tell us how the industry is, or like, so instead of hiding in your Jupyter notebooks. We have industry guys coming to tell us how they feel, how it is in the industry, and like and stuff that we should know. So next we have the AI Bootcamp 2019 I talked about. So we had 24 of our guys representing the club at the bootcamp. 24 of our guys were able to qualify after like a very tough cargo competition that I held, and this was a very massive one for us because majority of I think the only school that had more numbers than us was Unilag, where they had 28 and we had 24, and I think we really enjoyed ourselves, and we hope to go with more of our members this year, God's willing. Okay, so next I want, like I said at the start of the, like I said at the start of my slide, I really want this event to trend, and I really want us to tweet about the event. Ken Jee will be taking over soon. So when you tweet, I want you to tag Ken Jee in your tweets, tag Data Science Nigeria, tag AI plus OU, and use the hashtag Talk with Ken Jee. I think this is so whenever we see your tweet, we will definitely like and we will definitely retweet. So I think you guys should help us with this, and let's trend the event. Okay, so next meet our speaker. I think Ken Jee has already said he has said a little already, and I think we can't just wait. We can't just wait to have him say what he has in stock for us. Okay, so I think I'll round up here, and I think Ken Jee should take over from where I stopped. So we are so excited, and thank you for being here. So I think Ken Jee can take over now.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Can you allow me to share my screen?
Okay, I think you should be able to do that now.
It still says, oh, you have to stop sharing your screen so I can. There we go. Okay, awesome.
Okay.
Perfect. So thank you so much again for having me come in. I loved watching your slides and seeing how much growth you're fostering in your communities across all of Nigeria. I think it is so impressive. And I think that your goal of 1 million AI talents in 10 years is absolutely attainable. What you'll see in my little, no problem, but what you'll see in my presentation here is how you create those opportunities. Something AG had mentioned to me is that there aren't necessarily as many companies ready for AI in Nigeria as there are people who are interested in it. And I think that something I really want to focus on is, one, how do you find these opportunities? Two, how do you create these opportunities? And three, how do you bring these opportunities into your life by some of the things that you can set in motion? So I'll talk a little bit first about my philosophy around data science and machine learning. It might be a little basic to start with, but bear with me. I think it's important for us to start at the same place and have the same view of data science, machine learning, and AI so that we can be speaking the same language throughout this whole conversation. So first, I'll start with just a little bit about myself. So why you should or should not listen to what I have to say. So I've worked in data science for the last 5 years. I've managed a data science team for the last couple, and I've been doing hands-on data science during this whole period. I've also worked at a Fortune 100 company in a data science role, as well as quite a few startups. So I think I have a good understanding of what the breadth of the types of data science used across different organizations. I've really had a good time, working in this field. It's been a great experience for me, and my life revolves around this field. I quite enjoy it. So I've also done quite a few entrepreneurial things in the space. Most of them are through content creation. So the first, as we've talked about, I have this YouTube channel, And I've been able to talk with a lot of incredibly interesting people through interviews. I've been able to connect with a huge diverse group of people as well across different countries and continents, which I think is unbelievable. If you asked me a year ago if I would have been able to have such a global impact or a global conversation around data science, I would have said you're crazy. So doing things like this for me is incredible. It's getting me out of my comfort zone. And I'm really grateful to you all for making things like this possible. I'm active on LinkedIn, so I post a lot of content there. I've been doing blogging on Medium, and I've also been doing some course creation on Udemy. So those are areas where I feel like hopefully I've been able to give back to the data science, machine learning, AI community. In terms of education, I do have a couple advanced degrees, one in computer science, one in global business, but I don't think, and I want to make it very clear, I don't think you need advanced degrees to have a successful data science career. I don't think you need advanced degrees to make an impact with data science in your local community or across the broader data science spectrum. I think that self-taught or taught through Data Science Nigeria or any of these places, there's plenty of information out there that is very good, and you don't need to have a special, master's degree, PhD, to be able to leverage this beautiful field. So let's start really with the basics here. So what do I think data science is? At the most basic level, data science is problem solving using the most advanced tools that we have out there. You're going to hear me absolutely hammer this point home that data science equates to problem solving. And I'm going to stress that we think about the problems more than we think about the tools we're using to solve the problems. So data science for me is a combination of computer science, of business knowledge, of math. These three fields together come together to make something that helps us understand almost any problem that is out there. And the data that we have, the data that we collect, lets us tell a unique story. It lets us really peel back a lot of layers to understand how the world works in general. So again, I'm going to stress on this problem solving idea quite a bit throughout this presentation. You also don't necessarily need to have complete knowledge of any of these fields. If you have some business knowledge, some computer science, and some math, you can do data science. If you have mostly business knowledge, you have a little bit of computer science and a little bit of math, you could still create value in data science from that. So one of the things I'd really hope to break down throughout this presentation is that you don't have to be an expert. You don't have to master all of the algorithms to be able to leverage data science and to be able to create value for someone or to create an opportunity for yourself. So a quick sidebar. One of the questions I always get asked is what's the difference between data science, machine learning, and AI? I know you've mentioned AI quite a bit. I've mentioned data science and machine learning. And although some people might not necessarily agree with how I drew this up, this is how I view how the fields are interrelated. So data science to me, again, is this idea of problem solving. And through problem solving, we have data collection, we have exploratory analysis, we're looking at trends. Within data science, we have machine learning, which is the algorithms which you're trying to predict or classify or group things together or do feature reduction.
Okay,
so
sorry, can you, Ken? Sorry for the interruption. I think Dr. Bayo is here. Dr. Bayo, can you hear us? Is the one that Dr. Bayo started Data Science Nigeria and is the convener of he started this whole thing and created this panel for us to be able to like start to work with people like you, Ken, and learn ourselves and create a competitive environment for us too. So Dr. Bayo, are you there?
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure. I'm so sorry I couldn't join on time. Thanks so much, Ken, for willingly coming around to share, your experience and expertise with us. We're so honored and humbled to have you today. And I want to thank everyone who are on the call. This reflects our passion as a community. We want to learn more from the best of the best. And it's such a great pleasure for us to have Ken join us today. To share his broad-based experience to inspire us and give us that energy to be able to play on the global space. Kudos to the organizer, the OAU, Obafemi Awolowo University team, AI Plus, for putting this together. We celebrate you. We celebrate your commitment to excellence. And I wish every one of us a fantastic evening. I'm already enjoying the session already. The way Ken is breaking down data science, AI, ML, I'm sure you're going to have a great time. Have a blast and let's enjoy the evening. Once again, thanks so much, Ken, for your time. We do appreciate a lot.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Dr. Bayo.
Thank
sorry,
you.
Ken, for cutting you off at that point.
No problem.
Thank you very
no
much,
problem.
Dr. Bayo.
Thank you.
All right, I'll jump right back in here. I'll probably start from the beginning of this slide again. So the way I view data science is that it encompasses a lot of the machine learning algorithms, or pretty much all of the machine learning algorithms. I look at machine learning as just this subcategory of data science. AI, on the other hand, incorporates a lot of data science and machine learning, but it also has some information that is outside the scope of both the data science and machine learning fields. If you look at how some very basic chatbots work, for example, they're just experiments with logical operators or working with very straightforward algorithms that I don't think necessarily fall into machine learning or data science. So I wanted to make it clear that, okay, I think data science is this big field that definitely has some overlap with AI, but I don't think it's fair to say that AI is equal to data science or that machine learning is equal to data science. So just for the frame of our conversation, I will be referring almost exclusively to data science that includes machine learning and a little bit of AI. So with that being said, I think that I'd love to talk a little bit about the data science lifecycle, where the opportunities in data science lie within this. So with any data science project, you need to have data for it to work, period. There's this saying in the field, garbage in, garbage out. So if you have bad data, no matter what model you use, you're going to get a bad result. So data collection is extremely important. Part of that bad data or trying to have good data is that you need to do data cleaning. So we manipulate the data, we put it into a database, we make it relevant for our use cases. The next thing that we do is we want to explore the data. We look at baseline statistics, we look at trends, and without doing anything more advanced than that, we can still create value there. We can look at the differences in two different customer segments and see if one type of customer is more likely to buy than another. These first three steps of the data science lifecycle are what I consider to be the role of a data analyst. They don't necessarily do any of the more advanced stuff, but it is so important. And most companies have to walk before they can run. So they really rely on the data collection, the data cleaning, and the exploratory analysis very heavily. So a lot of people are really interested in doing the deep learning, the model deployments, but there's so many more opportunities in the short term on this data analyst track. If we look at just the data collection and the data manipulation, that's what a data engineer does. So you can see how these different roles break up across the data science lifecycle. A data scientist can work across any of these different steps. But so after the data exploration, we start trying to predict things, and that's when model building comes into play. So we're using one of 3 or 4 different types of algorithms here. So we have regression, we have classification, we have clustering, we have feature reduction, and then some people would consider like reinforcement learning a type of model in and of itself, separate from all of those things. So that's when the true data science work starts to differentiate itself. One thing that I don't think gets talked enough about is testing, user feedback. In order to see if a model works, you have to see how it performs with live with real data, and you have to continue to update it. Models are only as good as, again, the data you give them. So after you deploy a model, it's really important to continue to test, to continue to get feedback so that that model is up to date with the newest data. Trends in human behavior change based on a lot of different small variables, and we need to continue to retrain our models to make sure they are representative of what the real population is doing. That's something that people think, oh, I validated, I've done, I've done it train test split. Now I can put the model in production and forget about it. That is definitely not something you can do. You always, in my mind, a data science project is never done because you're always doing this loop of model deployment and user feedback testing. Can you guys see my mouse? Because I'm going to be doing a reasonable amount of pointing and stuff. I want to make sure that it's visible.
Yes, we can see your mouse.
Perfect. So the last role, I talked about how a data engineer covers basically, let's do some of this. A data engineer covers this. A data analyst covers these three things. And then a machine learning engineer covers these three things. So again, a data scientist covers this whole spectrum. So I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an idea about where all of these different roles show up. Okay, so I'll get rid of my ugly circles there. Next, let's look at what data science is like at a corporation versus, in my opinion, what the real world is like. So at a corporation, usually you're not doing much data collection. You're getting your data from a SQL server. Then you're manipulating it in Power BI, Tableau, Python, R. You're understanding the trends in the data. You're building your preliminary models. You're actually training the models and making them useful. Then you're presenting the results and you're putting them into production, hopefully driving growth. This is a very clear-cut and straightforward process. Depending on the company, it can be a little bit less clean. There can be some additional steps or less steps. But in my opinion, this is a very, very small sample of what true data science is like. I don't think that this is representative of what data science is like in my life or in a lot of communities or in a lot of companies. Real data science looks a lot more like this. You're getting your hands very dirty. If you don't have data, you're going out and collecting it. If you don't know how to do a certain analysis, you might have to be the ones coding the algorithm from scratch to fit your specific use case. You might have to do a lot of data cleaning. You might be merging a lot of different data sets for it to be useful. This is a lot more of the norm, where you're jumping in feet first and really working with the data, getting your hands dirty, than it is working with in a corporation. So I think the more work you do that is messy, the better that looks. Because if you can understand the messy work, understand where to collect data, how to bring it all together, all of these things, that means you can definitely do the work that these corporations are doing that is a lot more structured. I don't think working in a corporation doing this type of data science work is quite as fun. I really love the more open-ended nature of data science in the real world. So something I want to highlight is that data science, machine learning, AI, they can be used across multiple different industries. Almost every company in the future is going to be able to get value from data science, period. We look at a very, very advanced approach. You look at autonomous vehicles, looking what Tesla's doing, that's what all the buzz is about, but there's just as much value that can be created in agriculture using data science. So finding what you're interested in, let's say I own a restaurant, I really like food. How can I combine data science there to create a lot of value? I also think it's really important to think about how you can integrate data science with your daily life. When I'm interviewing candidates, when I'm looking at a portfolio, if someone has been able to make a meaningful change in their life by analyzing their own data, that to me really stands out, because that by definition is what data science should be. You found a problem in your own life and you've addressed it using data. A quick sidebar here. I think a lot of people talk about big data, and big data is great. We have a lot of powerful processing tools now, but the thing that we don't always have is access to that data. And so small devices, embedded devices like Jetson Nano, Raspberry Pi, they allow us to collect data very easily. They're also improving greatly in computing power for a relatively cheap price compared to the high power computing options. And that means we can do AI or machine learning on some of these embedded devices. I think that's where the field is really going to go, where you're collecting and analyzing at the same time, rather than collecting these huge masses of data and trying to analyze those on really high compute machines. So that's something I wanted to plant a seed with all of you, is thinking about, okay, how can I use these small devices in my life? AG brought up wearing a mask at the beginning of the conversation here, and one of these devices you can actually perhaps Grace, can you mute yourself, please? But one of these devices you can actually run an algorithm that would tell you if people are wearing masks in proximity to you, for example. You don't have to send that back to the cloud. You don't have to worry about that processing time. You don't have to worry about if you have high quality internet, which is definitely not stable everywhere. So I would like to plant the seed with you guys. Think about how you can use these embedded smaller devices to improve your livelihood. When we talk about a problem or finding a problem for your data science to be used on, it's really important to ask good questions. So what I like to start with is, what in my life could be improved? Or how could I improve my parents' lives? How could I improve my friend's business? How could I make something easier or make it require a little bit less effort? We get to good questions, we get to good data science solutions through asking a ton of questions. So you should never be afraid of asking questions. I always start with, what problem would I like to solve? My refrigerator, for example, like some of the foods are getting frozen instead of just staying at a comfortable temperature. Can I solve that with data science? There are a lot of questions that can't be solved using data, but if they can be solved using data, it's important to find out, okay, is there data out there? Can I collect it? What can I create with this? Can I create a product? Can I create a service? What tools will I need? What resources will be available? Continually asking questions is something that can really drive your data science process forward. And before you think about learning any of these algorithms, I think it's important to start with, hey, what would I like to solve? If I went out and tried to learn every data science algorithm out there, it would take me forever, right? I mean, there's a lot of information, it's constantly changing. But if I focus on a problem, I can figure out what specific tools I need to solve that, and I can get my hands dirty. It's very actionable rather than worrying about understanding the breadth of the field. So I thought it would be fun to do just a couple case studies to talk about what type of problems might be out there and how data science could help address these problems. So let's say that I live in an area where my power goes out fairly frequently. And because of that, I have a backup generator. So one thing that, if I'm in this situation, I'm going to be thinking about is how much fuel or petrol should I have on hand for my backup generator? I don't want to have too much fuel around. It doesn't smell great. It could catch fire. There could be accidents, but I don't want to have none in case the power goes out and I need to run the generator. So there are a couple things that I would consider to build a model to predict how much fuel or petrol I should have on hand at a given time. So how often does the power go out? How long does it go out for? How much demand is there for fuel? How much supply is there? How much fuel does my generator consume? Also, can I link into Twitter to see if a lot of people are experiencing power outages? If everyone's experiencing power outage and everyone's going to buy gas, there might be less supply there. So, in a lot of people's lives, this is a legitimate problem. And I believe data science, machine learning, AI can help come to solutions related to this. One thing with fuel is that it doesn't necessarily expire. It is flammable. Some of those things are issues. But for example, in a restaurant, if we use a very similar logic, food spoils at a certain period of time. And if we can predict how much food as a restaurant we order each week, perhaps we can save money by having less spoilage every week. We can also save money if we're correctly forecasting how many customers we have, because we can make sure that we don't necessarily run out of food. We have almost as close to the exact right amount of food each week for our customers. So, these are two hands-on problems that don't require a crazy amount of advanced solutions. They just need some, they just use some simple forecasting and an understanding of the specific problem. And I believe in both of these cases, you can create a lot of value for, either yourself in the fuel example, or for a friend's restaurant or a family restaurant, whatever that might be. So again, I want to stress this, and I want to make it clear, rather than looking for a job, you should look for problems to solve. Companies hire problem solvers. You know, I always look for what someone has done, what projects they've done, what outcomes they've created out of those projects before I even, you know, look at some of the other elements on their resume. One other thing I'd like to address is that when you do solve problems, these problems in and of themselves can become business opportunities. You can make money off of these things. I think a prime example is looking at me creating YouTube videos. You know, through that, you know, the YouTube videos I make for free, I do them because I enjoy them, but I've had speaking engagements, I've created some, you know, coursework, I've got some ad revenue. It's become a line of business for me. And I didn't start out with it like that, but I found that the solutions, the value that I was providing was enough that some people would pay for. And so if you create a really good solution, you might be surprised that someone might be willing to just pay you for it. And then you've created your own business, you become an entrepreneur. I'm hoping that some of the other projects I work on where people would be leveraging my algorithms will also turn into businesses. So it's not necessarily that you're trying to get a job with one of these companies, but do the work that you're interested in. Try and create a role for yourself. And there's a good chance that someone will come to you if you're solving a big enough problem. So one thing I would also like to address is people believe that they need all of these technical skills to create any value. To me, that is not true at all. So there's a balance between technical skills and subject area expertise. So if you have a lot of subject area expertise, you need significantly less technical skills. If again, AG had mentioned that he is involved, his main course of study is agriculture. If he is very knowledgeable about agriculture, he can ask the very specific questions of the problems he's solving. And he might not even need any advanced algorithms to go about solving those things. He can use very basic linear regression, very basic classifiers, if he has a great understanding of, again, the questions. On the other hand, if you have very advanced technical skills, you generally need a little bit less subject area expertise. Subject area expertise is still important, but the power of some of these solutions makes it so that it is less relevant. So when you're starting out, I would rely very heavily on your subject area expertise. That means that you can, again, create value with very little technical skills. As you build more technical skills, you're going to be even more valuable. And then you can start diversifying to other problems if you have this elite set of technical skills. So that's something I would really want you guys to keep in mind, is that you don't need to have mastered data science, because I don't think anyone can. You don't need to have all these technical skills. You can still create value while you're learning them. So how do you find data science opportunities? The first thing that everyone looks for is a track record. So that's either previous work experience, consulting, or doing cool projects and solving relevant problems. The next thing that's important is sharing your work. There's great places to share, LinkedIn, GitHub, all of these places. That is how you get recognized. And the third thing is building a network. Through my YouTube channel, I've interviewed 50 plus data scientists, and I think there's only been one or two of them who have gotten their data science job through the traditional job application portals. Almost every one of them was referred by an employee, an employer, a friend, or worked with a recruiter. So to me, that tells me, wow, these opportunities come more from interpersonal relationships than they do from a shotgun approach of sending out a bunch of different applications. So that's something to keep in mind. I mean, to emphasize the power of the network, the power of sharing, look at how this whole conversation started. AG reached out to me on YouTube in the comment section. That's a very simple act of networking. And, I highly recommend that you figure out how to leverage all of these beautiful platforms that are out there, because that is what creates opportunities. I would like to take, again, just a quick sidebar to talk about how you should network effectively, because I do believe it is so important. Asking people very specific questions, thanking them for the work that they're doing, talking about the value you could potentially provide for them. These are things that whenever I get a message, I'm more likely to respond if someone has taken the time to do their research, so they know about me. They've watched some of my videos, so they're not asking questions that I've already answered. And they're also respectful of my time. I get probably 200 to 300 messages a day across the different platforms, and for me, that's an hour and a half, 2 hours of time to even consider reading all of those, let alone answering them. So the people that are respectful of time, the people that are have already shown that they're committed to this, either by taking a course or doing projects, I'm always more likely to respond to. And I think other people are a lot more likely to respond as well. So where can you share? So the first place for me is YouTube. Not everyone has to make a YouTube channel. Not everyone is cut out for talking on video. That's a leap for a lot of people, and I understand that. But you can share your work on Medium. You can share your work on Kaggle. You can share your work on GitHub, LinkedIn, Reddit, Twitter, Upwork. You can try and do some contract work as well. Facebook is out there. I highly recommend you share as much as possible, because you never know what can come out of communicating with other people on the internet. Again, look at, this was, again, all possible just because of one YouTube comment. So it's interesting to think about it that way. I still try to this day to answer almost every one of my YouTube comments if it has a reasonable answer to it, or if I haven't answered it before. It's pretty hard to reach me on pretty much any of these other platforms. But if you do have questions that are unique to your specific situation, I will do my best to try and answer them in the YouTube comment section. One other thing that I think is important is the technology needs for data science are going down every day. We have access to compute power even on our phones via Kaggle and Google Colab. And, I think technology can really be hard to come by. Having powerful enough computers to run a lot of the data science algorithms, 2 years ago wasn't a reality, but now we can do this in the palm of our hand, just having access to the internet. So I wouldn't say that people make excuses around why they can't learn these things or they don't have access to these things, but I want to make it very clear that in 2020 going forward, the prevalence of these things is going to be very widespread. And that's what makes me believe that, the initiative you have of 1 million in AI workers by 2030 is absolutely a feasible reality. Is because these solutions are so available. There's so many good materials online for free to learn this stuff. All it takes is the effort and applying these tools to the specific problems that we see. So before I end, I really want to highlight an initiative that I have going right now. It's called the 66 Days of Data. And the only requirements are that you spend 5 minutes learning data science each day, and that you share what you're learning on your platform of choice using the 66 Days of Data hashtag. So for me, learning data science is about creating good habits. The first habit that is very important is consistency, just doing it every day. You don't have to do that much. You don't have to study an hour, 2 hours a day. Just 5 minutes a day helps you create momentum for learning this field. The other thing, which I've stressed quite a bit in this presentation, is how important sharing your work is. Because if you don't share your work, you never know what could happen. If you share your work, a lot of good things are very likely to happen. I've been reached out again about speaking. I've been reached out about creating courses. I've been reached out by quite a few of the people that I idolize in the data science industry to just have conversations with them. So if you get into this habit of sharing your work, if you get into this habit of solving problems, I think that it'll carry you really far. And it is the first step in making all of your data science dreams, all of your data science aspirations come true. I want to thank you all, and I will leave you with this thought. When you come away from this, think about your life and the specific problems that you have, and if they can be solved with data. That should be your first project, is figuring out, okay, what thing in my life could be improved most with a data science solution. And, Nigeria is a pretty big place. If you are having a problem that can be solved with data, there's a strong likelihood that other people are also having that problem. And your solution could potentially help quite a few people. And that's what data science is all about. It's about solving problems and helping people. So thank you again. You can find me on Twitter or also on my YouTube channel. I would like to open the floor up to some questions now. Hopefully, again, this was a little different perspective, and it'll be valuable to you all going forward with your data science journey.
Okay, thank you very much, Ken. I hope you guys enjoyed Ken's session. I really did, and thank you on the parts that you touched. Really appreciate that. So moving on to the Q&A section. Some people have some questions for you, and then we'll be. Please, if you have a question for Ken, put it in the Q&A section instead of the chat section. We will not see your questions in the chat section. There's a Q&A button on your screen. You just have the screen pop up, and then you just type your questions in there. So I think I'll be going on to ask the questions. Anonymous attendee said, after learning Python basics, is it necessary to do some Python basics project to master Python, or do we directly start with data science projects?
So I personally don't believe that there's a correct way, for example, to learn data science. You look at data science in industry, a lot of them come from either software engineering, that's all they did first, and then they learned the math skills, or they come from math and they learned the software engineering skills, or they come from business and they had to learn both of those skill sets. There isn't a prerequisite to do basic projects in Python, although it can help. I personally enjoy doing projects, figuring out how loops work, doing toy solutions. But again, there is absolutely no requirement to do that anywhere. I will also say there's something in this where they say, do you have to do basic projects to master Python? I don't think even the creator of the Python language has necessarily mastered it, right? Data science is not a field of mastery. It is a field of being good enough at all of the tools to find solutions to the problems that you have. I am by no means a master or an expert in any of the data science concepts, but that doesn't mean that I still can't create value and find them useful. So I would make sure that maybe shift your thought of I'm trying to master this to making it I'm trying to make this useful to me. That'll make learning a lot less intimidating for everyone.
Okay, thank you very much. Patrick says is asking, someone who wants to start data science as a startup, what are the basics and key concepts the person should know or learn before going to data science? I think Ken already mentioned this. Let me let Ken answer this. I think it's him being the host. Did you get the question, Ken?
Yeah, I did. I like this question a lot, actually. So the first thing is what I mentioned quite a bit in the conversation is finding the problem that you have. The second thing that you need for any business to be successful is to have customers. So making sure you understand what customers you have and if they're willing to actually pay for your solution. That's something that when I had started quite a few businesses, I forgot. I had these, what I thought were great ideas, but once I put these things out there, people didn't want to use them. People didn't necessarily find value in the product. So I would do a lot of testing, experimentation, making sure that you have a customer base. I will say I've probably started 5 or 6 businesses now, and most of them have failed. I've had 2 or 3 successful ones. I've probably started more than 4 or 5, but I've only had a few successful ones, and it's okay to fail, but you have to learn from each failure that you have as a business founder.
Okay, thank you very much. Raval. Oh, thank you for joining us. I think it's from India. Okay, can you please tell Mr. Ken, like after collecting, cleaning data and all that stuff, what actually a data scientist or data analytics do? Does company give them task or that person himself do this stuff? And if he or she does, what to do and how to find it out? Ken, did you get the question?
It's a loaded question. So
Yeah.
it depends. In most companies, they'll tell you what outcome they want you to have. So let's say, we're in a, what's it called? An e-commerce store, and we're trying to segment customers. So we can build a model, the higher ups or your boss might ask you, hey, can we build a model to correctly classify what type of customer this is? That's very clear cut. You know what type of model you have to build, you know what you're going to explore. Another type of ask might be, hey, in looking at this sales channel, how do we increase profit? Then you have to look at the whole problem and understand what levers you can pull to potentially increase profit there. So there's both types of questions. I think you address the second type of question through personal projects, is creating the mission statement, figuring out what the problem is you want to solve again. The second one is a lot more, I'm sorry, the first type where they're giving you the question is, again, very common, but it's a lot more straightforward.
Okay. Thank you. So Raval has a lot of questions, but I think some of these questions you can, Raval, you can find them on Ken's channel. Thankfully, I've seen some of his videos. So you can find some of these questions on his channel, but we need to go ahead to ask some other questions. Sorry about that. So Amazing Grace is asking, how much statistics or maths do you need to get into the data science, to start the data science career?
I think the very baseline is you have to have some understanding of probability, and you have to have some understanding of linear algebra and a little bit of calculus. I don't think you need any math at all to get started with learning the data science basics. I can, if I have a little bit of understanding of Python, I can implement almost all of these algorithms without understanding how they work at all, right? I can make these practical, I can make them useful. I can run a linear regression without understanding how the math works using these tools. And so I think it's perfectly okay to jump in and start using these things, because by using these algorithms, you start to understand a little bit intuitively about how the math works behind the scenes. And then you go back and you learn the math, but you now have a framework and understanding of the functional implementation of these things. So I would say that you do need math longer term in data science. Absolutely, it is integral. But when you're just starting out, when you're learning these things, I don't think the math is important at all. So I wouldn't let math be a barrier. It is something that you will have to learn later. But for me, the math was never quite as fun as some of the other things. I had to learn it all. I've implemented all of these machine learning algorithms from scratch through a lot of the coursework I've done. But for me, it wasn't the most important thing to getting to solving that problem. You can solve so many problems without an understanding of the math. But if you do want to be a data scientist in industry, you yes, absolutely have to learn how the math works longer term.
Okay, thank you very much. Amazing Grace also has another question. This person also has my name. How soon into the journey into data science should you venture into projects? And before you answer that, another person asked a question that is similar to that, Oluwafemi. He says, how does one start a career in data science? So Amazing Grace's question is, how soon into your journey into data science should you venture into a project? And Oluwafemi is asking, how does one start a career in data science?
For me personally, I think I like to start projects right away. Right when I learn something, I try and do a small project on it. A lot of people think that projects have to be big. For me, a project can be simply just creating a small solution. If I learned how to use a for loop in Python, right? If I learned the logic behind it, a project can be as simple as just writing one and experimenting with what you put in. Instead of using a list, you can use a range of the list to analyze what happens and to understand it. A project is just getting your hands dirty. So in my learning approach, which I have found to be successful for me, I recommend doing projects as quickly as possible, but you don't have to define projects as some big thing. They can be these very small chunks as well. And so how do you start a career in data science? You have to start with the problem. So if you build a portfolio, you build a track record, then an employer will take you seriously. If you just come and say, oh, I've taken some this course, and now I want you to hire me. And employers, you have no track record. They can't validate that you can actually do data science aside from that you have the certificate. So you want to have something to show for yourself. I mean, the first step into a data science career is doing a legitimate data science project. That proves to me that you're a data scientist, that you can actually do the data science work.
Okay. Anonymous attendee is asking which programming language is best between R and Python for a beginner in data science?
To me, it really doesn't matter. I personally use Python. I think it's more in demand in the job market. But if you're doing bioinformatics, for example, or you're in a specific field, it might make a lot more sense to use R. I'm a big believer, again, in focusing on the problem and using the best tools to solve that problem. So sometimes the best tools to solve it would be Excel. Sometimes it would be Python. Sometimes it would be R. It doesn't, the tools that you use, they're all relevant to the problem. And I will say, if you learn R, it's going to be a lot easier to learn Python. I started learning C and Java, and then I picked up Python really easily because I knew how programming languages work. So people think that, oh, if I learn one, I can't learn the other. If you learn one, it actually makes it easier to learn the other programming language.
Okay, thank you. Olusegun is asking, can I dive into deep learning without fully grasping data science basics like hyperparameter tuning and more?
So yeah, I think you could. If you'd like to become a data scientist, I recommend learning how all of the underlying things work. But if you're using data science to, again, solve a problem, and it's more about solving the problem than it is about becoming a data scientist at this point in time, I think that that's totally fine. There's no reason that deep learning or some of these powerful techniques shouldn't be available to people that even aren't that familiar with data science. They're still valuable tools. I would say that when you're understanding or trying to interpret your solution, you might run into some problems if you don't understand the mechanisms that are in play. So I would say that it's okay to do this. It absolutely is, but just talk to an expert, talk to someone who has had experience with that to make sure that your findings are valid and not just an improper way that you split the data or something like that.
Okay, thank you. What are the requirements needed for becoming an industry finished machine learning engineer?
So I think that that's really different. It varies at every company. It varies at, across countries. What data scientists are, what machine learning engineers are, there still isn't a very clear definition, which is a little bit sad. I'm hoping through the content that I create, we can actually create more of a clear understanding of what these roles are. For me, a machine learning engineer has to be a very good programmer. They have to be able to implement these solutions using some form of container, whether that is Docker, whether they're turning machine learning solutions into an API endpoint with SageMaker or some of these other things. That is a key component of the role. So it's a little bit more on the software engineering side than it is on the kind of data science and consulting side. So I would focus just slightly more on technical tools and make sure that you're a very, very strong programmer.
Ernest is asking, what best practice would you advise on the way you structure projects that one intend to share?
So that's a really a really loaded question. I think the best way to answer that would be, I did a video series on that called A Project from Scratch. So I walk through an entire project. It's a couple hours worth of content, and I think that the question deserves an hour-long answer. So I would say you want to make sure that it's clearly structured. Generally, you want to have data collection, data cleaning, feature engineering, data exploration, model building, and then model production steps. You want to ideally focus on each step of the data science lifecycle and have a script for each one of those. And you also want to have a very clear README in a GitHub repo that talks the reader through all of the decisions that you're making. So I would recommend just checking out that video playlist. I think that that would be a lot more of a complete solution than I could give you here.
Okay, thank you. Anonymous attendee is asking, can you suggest any data science fellowship programs? I don't know what they are, but
I don't know any off the top of my head.
okay.
Yeah.
So how to improve projects? Okay, Ken has answered this in the previous question. I'll move on to the next question. What are good ideas for data science projects, and where can I get these projects?
So I cannot give someone else project ideas. To me, that goes against what a data scientist does. As I discussed before, being a data scientist, you are a problem solver. Part of being a problem solver is identifying the problems. So I really recommend, again, thinking about what problems you face and can they be solved with data. And that's one approach, right? Is I want to solve this problem. I'm going to go out and get the data and create the solution. Another approach is just looking at what data is out there and deciding that you want to do a project related to that data. So if you go on Kaggle.com, again, this is free. They have a ton of different data sources. They have a ton of different data sets. So I would just browse through all the data sets till you find one that you're interested in.
Thank you. Okay, so Joyce is asking, thank you very much for your time. My question is on sharing what I learned daily. Do I have to wait till there is like a mind-blowing relevant project, or I could just share what I learned as I learn? Which will you encourage?
Joyce, I love this question. So thank you for asking it. I think that, especially with the 66 Days of Data initiative, you're encouraged to just share what you learn as you go. People like to see growth. Employers like to see growth. They like to see you improve. It's not necessarily about this mind-blowing thing that you've done. It's about seeing where you came from and where you are now. So especially on Twitter, I really recommend just sharing what you're learning as you go, because people enjoy that journey with you. I will say that you do want to share some of the bigger projects you do as well, to show that you've tied all that learning together into a nice package that can, again, create value for someone else.
Okay, thank you very much. I think I gained something from that. Farisi has a question, but Ken already answered that previously. Anonymous Antedi answered a question.
Let me just clarify on that question. So what kind of projects? So rather than, I can't recommend project ideas, but I do recommend that you do at least one project on regression, one on classification, one on clustering and or feature reduction, and then one on maybe deep learning, computer vision, NLP, some of the more advanced concepts. For a beginner, I think, again, projects are the best way to learn those concepts. So I have a video on that as well. It's called I think it's like the three machine learning projects for beginners, something along those lines. But yeah, I would group them like that, and whatever data you use, whatever content you use is up to you.
Okay, thank you. What's the significance of Python? Well, I think you've answered this, but I'll just go ahead and ask. What is the significance of Python programming in data science? Can you excel in data science without knowledge of Python?
So Python is a programming language, right? And we use languages to communicate. They're tools. So if we didn't speak the same language, we would have to communicate with hand gestures or something like that, and it wouldn't be very effective. Python for data science is how you communicate those insights, how you actually run this analysis. It is the tool to be able to bring these insights forward. Without that, it's all in your head, and data in your head is not very useful to anyone. So you don't just need Python, you can use R instead, but you do have to have an understanding of a programming language, an analysis tool like Excel or Power BI or Tableau. You will need some tools to be able to create this value.
Okay, thank you. Um, then there's a question from Israel Oluwadamilola. He said, if you're not so, can you start a career at 30 years old? Like
Yes,
start a data science
absolutely.
career?
There's no age limit for data science. I would hope it's already trending this way, but the field of data science, it's about what you can do, not and what you have done, not about how old you are, what you look like, or your background or anything like that. So if you create solutions to problems, it doesn't matter. You could be 12 years old. You could be 100 years old. If you can create a solution that someone else hasn't, then you absolutely should be given a job, and you will very likely find a position.
Okay, so Blessing Adekombi is asking, I'm just starting out with data science and don't know exactly how to start. I also got introduced to Microsoft Excel, and I think I should focus on that before going into data science proper. What do you think about that?
I think that's fine. My recommendation for starting out is to just choose something and dive in and understand it. I wouldn't worry about thinking if you're doing the right thing. Learn Microsoft Excel well. Learn how to do, for example, linear regression in Microsoft Excel, and then you can move on to the data science proper if you like. I also don't think it would be wrong if you just started to try and do Python or something like that while you were working with Microsoft Excel and trying to do the same things in both platforms. But what again really matters is that you're learning something. People think that just because you learn one thing in data science, you can't learn another. Just because I take one course doesn't mean that it means that I can't take another course, which simply isn't true. All of the things that you learn are combined together to create a broader body of knowledge. So if you're learning Excel now, you'll know it, and you'll learn the Python stuff later. If you're learning them at the same time, you'll also know it, right? It's just a matter of personal preference at this point.
Guys, we'll be ending this Q&A in next 5 minutes, so I'll be sifting through some questions. I can see some questions that can be answered when you go to Ken's channel. He has talked about a lot of these things, so please go to his channel. In case your question was not asked, go to Ken's channel, and you'll find a lot of useful things, a lot on his channel. So I'll be sifting through the questions now. Oluwaseun is asking, Python or R for data science in the field of biology. What do you think?
I would check out my friend's YouTube channel, The Data Professor. So he works in bioinformatics. So he has a lot better understanding of that than I do. I would probably defer to him. If I don't know something, I try and find people that do. I'm not going to try and make tell you one way or the other if I'm not too sure myself.
Okay, so it's go to what do you call his name again? The channel, name of channel?
The Data Professor.
Data Professor. I think you got that, Oluwaseun. Check that on YouTube. And I think we have another question. I don't really understand this, but Chizurum is asking, are there standard backbone algorithms for tabular data, like user data gathered by companies, just like ResNet, which can be used in making computer vision models? I don't think I understand the question, but what do you think?
I mean, yeah. So if you're talking about transfer learning, not as much, because we can, let's think about ResNet. All pictures, when they're broken down, they tell a similar sort of information, right? If you're looking at, for example, financial data, maybe someone has a broader financial model that they've trained that you can just, chop off the last couple layers and put new information on, or the data that's relevant to your stocks. But not all learning is necessarily transfer learning. Almost every business for tabular data uses things like linear regression, or uses random forest, or can use some very basic ANNs. And I always start with a basic model, and I got this from oh my god, Abhishek Thakur, who's one of the most celebrated Kaggle grandmasters ever. He even starts with a simple linear regression to see how well other models do. So I would always recommend just starting with the same model and seeing how much you can improve on your solution with other models.
Okay, so I think this should be our final question, or second to last question. Okay, so how widespread do you feel the use of neural networks and reinforcement learning models in corporate world?
So I don't think that they're as widespread as you think. What I've found from working with quite a few companies is that a lot of them weren't actually ready for data science. They're still doing mostly data analytics. So even though they've hired quite a few data scientists, they're not leveraging the data scientists' full skill set as much as they could be, just because if you think about neural networks, reinforcement learning, they're really hard for a business person to understand. They operate very much like a black box. And for so long, we've done business by thinking through things logically. We're not just being told what to do from a computer. And that shift in decision making is very hard for people to get over, especially the CEO of a company is not going to make a decision because a computer said to do something, right? They trust their gut. They got to where they are because of the decisions they've made in the past. So I think that it'll become more widespread, but right now, a very small percentage of companies are effectively using neural networks and reinforcement learning at all.
Okay. So the final question that we have here, what is the I think I saw this here. Sorry about that. Okay, how long do you think it will take me as a beginner to start my journey as a data scientist to get to a comfortable stage where I can call myself a data scientist? And that was from.
So that's that's really up to you. In theory, that's very subjective, right? I think that after you've done some good data science projects, you can call yourself a data scientist. To me, the label, the naming convention means almost nothing. There are plenty of people who do data science work, but their title isn't a data scientist. To me, that doesn't make them any less of a data scientist. In terms of time, again, that's completely up to you as well. I think that someone can learn programming or enough programming to be effective or to start implementing stuff in a couple months. To get a job, for example, in the US as a data scientist, I think it would take at least 9 months to a year to be able to accumulate enough knowledge as well as a body of work through projects. So I think that's a very low end. I'm still learning every day. I still have to improve upon what I'm doing. It's never, frankly, it's never enough. I would look at it as just a journey, and you grow as you go along.
Okay. Okay, so guys, we've come to the end of this session. I just want to say on behalf of AI Plus, we want to say big thank you to everyone that joined the conference. Thank you to Ken for joining and accepting the request to do this. And thank you to Dr. Bayo for joining, and thank you to Data Science Nigeria for the support. They supported some of the people that joined there with data grants. And really thank you guys for your time. And I want you guys to also go to Ken's channel and to subscribe and follow him on Twitter. follow AI Plus, OAU, and Data Science Nigeria for updates, and follow. Make sure you subscribe to Ken's channel too. And I think Grace would like to close up this session. Grace.
Yeah, but before Grace goes, I would like to say that if we didn't get to your questions, feel free to ask them in the comment section on one of my YouTube videos. I try to do my best to answer as many as I can there. So if you had a burning question that I haven't answered in my videos, feel free to answer it there. Ask it there, sorry. And thank you again for everything, guys.
Yeah, people are already asking if they can get the slides to that you prepared. Is it possible for them to get slides?
Yeah, I'll try and send those to you, and you can make them available.
Okay.
I'll also post this whole thing to my YouTube channel with your guys' blessing.
Okay.
In a couple weeks.
Okay, no problem. And but maybe by the time I get the slides, I'll be posting them on Twitter too, using the university tags to spread that out. And if you have any question for Ken, go to his YouTube channel and ask your questions, and make sure you subscribe too. Okay, Grace, can you end this?
Okay, hello guys. Thank you for joining. On behalf of the team at DSNEI Plus OAU, I want to say a very big thanks to everyone that joined the conference. Thank you for staying, thank you for your time. I want to say thank you to Mr. Ken. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with you. We had a nice time and we learned a lot. Thank Dr. Bayo for joining the conference. Thank you for Data Science Nigeria. I would like to thank Data Science Nigeria for their support and for how they helped sponsor some part of the event. Thank you guys. Thank everyone for your time. I hope you put everything you've learned in this conference to good use. Thank you. And please, let's not forget to tag, tweet about it, use the hashtag, tag the community, and thank you very much. And let us this trend. You can share whatever you've learned from the conference, share it on your Twitter, share it on Instagram. And let's not also forget, I know it's repetition, let's not forget to follow him. Let's not forget to follow his channel on YouTube. And also follow our channel. We stream this conference to our channel, just in case you missed out some parts. You can check out the channel, our YouTube channel. You can copy the live stream link. You can still copy it now and it will take it to our channel. So you check and follow us, subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe to Ken Jee's YouTube channel. Thank you once again. Thank everybody for joining and thank you for coming and thank you for staying till now. Thank you. I'm going to be sharing the link, but we are officially done. I will share the link to both our YouTube and Ken Jee's YouTube channel. I'll share it to the chat session now. Yeah, thank you guys. We're done.
Awesome. Thank you again, everyone.
Okay, thanks, Ken. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day and stay safe.
Thank you, Ken, once again. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, so the YouTube link has been posted. You guys can, that want to join in the YouTube link can, get the link in the chat section. Okay, Paul, are you still here?
Hello, Jaffa.
Yeah, I think we can close up the whole,
Yeah, we can stop the live recording now.
Yeah, so you guys, we'll be sending